Have you ever tried to implement a tactic or strategy in your business that just didn't work? You pushed and you pushed and you pushed, and you spent a lot of time and energy and money on it, but it just didn't work or have the results that you were hoping for? Well, the reason why is pretty straightforward. If businesses are like trees, and trees go through different growth stages, then it stands to reason that businesses go through different growth stages too. But everything online is just jumbled together into a smorgasbord, and there's no way of knowing what is applicable to you right now, because if you don't even know that there are levels to business growth, and you don't know what level you're at, you don't have any way to filter all of the advice and offers and strategies and tactics. So you take whatever anybody says is the best thing to do and you just try it to see if it works. But maybe your business isn't ready to implement that strategy right now, and so it doesn't work right now. And so you think, oh, this isn't going to work for me, when maybe it would work later. Your business wasn't ready for it yet. So I don't want you to waste a lot of time and money pushing to make things happen when it's not time for it yet. And I feel like the majority of struggle and frustration and wasted time and effort is from people pushing to make something happen instead of letting things organically happen on their own. So the key is to understand what stage of growth your business is at and have a framework for thinking about the different stages, so you can filter all of that advice and training and strategies and tactics according to this growth chart framework. And that way you are implementing your time, your money, and your effort in the most appropriate way based on the size and the stage of growth that you are at right now. So I have developed the Avocado Entrepreneur Growth Chart, which is a framework that takes a business from seed to Sentinel, which is a full-grown tree. This framework covers the 5 stages of growth for an online work-from-home cottage industry business. Now, a cottage industry business is something that's done from home. There's no large manufacturing processes. You don't have a large team. It's typically, this term is usually used for like small batch product businesses. So think of like Etsy stores, but almost all info product online entrepreneurs fall into the cottage industry business because you're working from home. It's only you or maybe a couple of other team members. You're not planning to have a humongous corporation. You're not trying to get on the Fortune 500 list. You don't want a billion-dollar company. You're just trying to build a business that will support you and your family and give you the time and financial freedom to live a good life and explore and experience things and travel. So this framework is specifically showing the growth stages of an online info product type of business. It applies to small product-based businesses. So if you're an author and you're writing books, or if you are an Etsy store creator and you're making small batch products, these frameworks will apply to you too, but it does not match up with people who are trying to run a 500 employee corporation with headquarters and multiple office locations. Like, this is not the kind of business that this framework is meant to help. So if you are an online entrepreneur and you're wanting a cottage industry type business where you are able to work from home and build a good life and make decent money, but not have to put your whole life's everything into it, this is for you. So the first stage is seed. This is level 1. And seed is just experimenting, really. The business at seed stage is making occasional sales, probably around $500 a month on average. It's usually to personal contacts. You don't have any kind of existing sales infrastructure yet. You're just kind of making sales to whoever finds out that you do this thing. You probably don't have a formal business entity and you're doing word of mouth marketing. You're probably making no profit. You're just covering costs if you are making enough to cover costs, or you might be putting your money in to bankroll the business right now. And you're still exploring your options. Maybe you haven't fully decided that this is for sure what you want to do. You're just seeing whether this is a viable choice. You're experiencing overwhelm from too many ideas because the shiny object syndrome is really, really bad at this stage because it's so easy to just quit and do something else. You don't have that much sunk cost yet to encourage you to stick with it. You might be frustrated with your current work, whatever it is that you're doing to make money to support yourself while you're experimenting with this. You might be feeling a driving desire to find your purpose in life. You might be paralyzed at the thought of having to pick just one passion. And you might be experiencing a lot of self-doubt, fear, and anxiety about whether you'll ever be sure whether this is the right thing to do or whether anything is the right thing to do. So at seed stage, it is totally okay, and it is in fact good to not be 100% on it yet, because seeds are considered viable if they germinate, if they sprout, if they start to show some growth and some results. So at seed stage, you don't have a lot of effort or resources put into this thing yet. And so you can plant multiple seeds. You can try different things all at once, and it's okay to try a bunch of things all at once. The goal is to plant a bunch of seeds and see which ones sprout. Because when we are thinking of actual seeds and actual gardens, we have absolutely no way of knowing which seeds are going to sprout and which ones are not. So the advice is to plant as many seeds as you have available and just see what happens. So at seed stage, you don't have to pick yet. You're just figuring it out. You're just seeing what takes off, what gets some traction. So you need to think about it more of a phase of experimentation. Now, when you get a couple of things that do sprout, a couple different things do seem to be taking off, then you will have to decide to either let go of all of the other seeds that aren't working and just focus on these 2 or 3 things. Or if one is doing like really amazing and the other ones are maybe kind of doing okay, then you might let go of all of the rest and just focus on the one that's doing really amazing. The reasonable time frame for when to make this decision depends a lot on how much financial runway you have. So if you're being financially supported in another way, maybe you have a full-time job, you're working with a spouse or a partner, or the spouse or the partner is supporting you, and you can put all of your time and energy into seeds. As long as you have your groceries, your rent, your bills taken care of, then you can experiment with all of the different seeds for as long as you want. And there's no pressure to have something make it work right now. If you have quit your job in the hopes of going full-time on your own, there's a lot more pressure for seeds to actually sprout. And it's not a sustainable situation because seeds take time to grow. So if you are at seed stage, meaning you don't have a business that's making any significant money yet, anything more than $1,000 a month, and you don't have a financial runway of 6 months of savings that you're living off of, and you don't have financial support from another person or situation, your primary goal is to get that financial support first. Whether you have to get another job, see about getting a roommate, like get your finances in order where you can afford to take time to let the seeds sprout, because putting all of that pressure on something to work right away is just a recipe for disaster. It's not going to work right away. That's not how seeds work. And you're putting pressure on it and then feeling like a failure yourself because you can't make it work. Well, nobody can make it work. A seed is not going to turn into a tree in 3 months. That's not how the universe works. So it's unreasonable to expect yourself to defy the laws of the universe. Like, give yourself the infrastructure and the support to let things happen as they're going to happen, and just know ahead of time that this is not something that's going to happen overnight. So your job at seed stage is to make sure that you have your lifestyle supported, and that you're not going to starve, you're not going to get kicked out of your house, you're not going to be without transportation, you're not going to be without shelter. Those are the most important things. Get that taken care of first, and then plant a bunch of seeds and see what sprouts. Then level 2 is the sprout stage. At sprout stage, you're starting to build more revenue. You might have $500 to $5,000 a month, and it can be intermittent. You might make like $10,000 one month and then $2,000 the next month. But if it averages out to be in that range, then you're in sprout stage. At sprout stage, you're probably going to have a formalized business structure, whether that's an LLC registered or an official sole proprietorship registered with the state business department. You might have a basic online presence at this point, such as a website, a social media, an email list. You are probably making enough now to cover the expenses of the business, but you're probably not able to take anything out for yourself yet. And you probably have a lot of other things to balance, such as the job that is supporting you, or your family, or another business, perhaps, if you're starting a new thing. And you're experiencing growth in fits and spurts. You might be experiencing a lot of financial instability if you've been putting a lot of money back into the business, or if you're not financially secure from another source, and so you're counting on the business to support you while it's growing, which, as I said before, is not a great strategy because sprouts have like 3 little leaves and they're not making any fruit yet. You might be feeling a lot of pressure if you went into debt to pay for courses or coaching or masterminds in order to get this started, which again, I do not recommend paying for masterminds or courses. At this point, it's best to just do the thing and figure it out and learn from doing at this point. And you're probably going to feel kind of pulled in all directions because you're not sure if this is the thing that's going to work. At sprout stage, it can be okay to have 2 or 3 different things going, because when you plant a bunch of seeds, probably half of them will sprout and then half the sprouts die before they get to the next stage. So we're kind of thinning them out as they get bigger and bigger. So in order to level up to the third stage, you're going to need a reliable financial system for accounting, saving, and budgeting. So that way your expenses do not keep ballooning with the income that you're making. You need to have consistent monthly distributions to yourself as the owner operator and a plan for increasing your income through sales. You need a schedule and a daily workflow that maximizes your most efficient work times and works with your family obligations, whatever that is like for you, or if you have another job, and especially something that prevents you from working all the time. Because I see this so much, like people think that in order to grow something, you have to put a lot of work into making it happen, like right at the beginning. But when you're growing plants, you water them once a day and you leave them alone. And I feel like I have definitely been guilty of messing with it too much when it's little, because I want things to happen faster, and things just are not going to happen faster. They're going to take the time they're going to take. And digging them up to see how they're doing on the other end is just going to kill your little baby sprout. So it's best to know what you need to do it, and then go to something else and leave it alone and not keep checking it and messing with it and adding more stuff. Like you can overwater and over fertilize a plant and kill it because you've watered it too much and fertilized it too much. So we want to give it the amount of time and effort that it needs, and then no more, and just let it grow. So at sprout level, you need the ability to say no to doing too many things or trying too many strategies or pushing to make it grow faster than it's capable of growing. Level 3 is seedling level. And at this level, you're making a consistent revenue of $5,000 to $15,000 a month on average. You have well-established business processes and systems. You might be paying a couple of contractors to help you, whether that's a VA or designers from Upwork or something like that. You have predictable customer acquisition. So you have a way of gathering leads and then converting those leads into customers, whether that's an email list. You might be running ads at this stage, doing partnerships, collaborations, getting affiliate income. If you're a content creator, you're getting sponsorships from brands, and it's profitable at this point. So you're not breaking even anymore. Now your income is totally covering your expenses, and you have a sizable owner's compensation and profit beyond that. So owner's compensation and profit are 2 different things. You want to have a long-term vision for refining these offers and processes. At seedling level, you're experiencing pre-burnout because you're doing most things yourself. You might be getting lost in the weeds of the everyday routine of selling and fulfilling. You might be having difficulty remembering the big picture because there's no time to plan ahead. You're in the grind, as they say, of actually harvesting the fruit that's now growing and continuing to take care of the tree so that way it will continue to grow. You might be experiencing some ballooning of expenses, customer service requests, and you're probably experiencing a fear of running out of customers because there's so much pressure to maintain the sales volume. So you need to build reliable marketing channels and systems and automate as much as possible. Now that you've actually done it for 6 months, a year, you know the actual processes that your business takes, and so then you can automate those processes. Versus optimizing at sprout level, you don't really know what the process is like yet. And so you're taking someone else's workflow and putting it on your business, and maybe that's not the best thing for your business. So doing it yourself is very important at sprout stage, but at seedling stage, you can start to automate it because you know all of the steps at this point. So automating will help take some of that pressure off of you from doing everything yourself. You'll be able to build a savings cushion so that way you can test things and cover expenses. If sales do go down, you'll feel less pressure to sell because you know you'll have that buffer. And we want to figure out how to disconnect income from your effort. So we want to be able to increase the income without proportionally increasing your time and effort that you have to put in. So usually at Sprout level, it's a 1-for-1. You put time and effort in, you get income out. Now you want to disconnect and scale it exponentially, so that way you put in this much time and effort and you get this much income back. And probably you need to go on a vacation. Level 4 is the Sapling level. And at this level, you're having a reliable, predictable revenue of $15,000 to up to $50,000 a month. You have a small team of, it depends, but usually no more than 10 people. This can be VAs, assistants, business office manager. Maybe you have coaches that work in your programs, website people, accountants. You have a back-end infrastructure that's helping you run the actual day-to-day of the business. You're going to have advanced marketing strategies at Sapling level, doing launches, collaborations, you're running ads, you have a systematized referral process, and you have disconnected your profitability from your direct workload. So the success is now in the systems of the business versus your time and effort. And at this stage, at Sapling stage, you're going to be shifting everything from you doing it to becoming the manager and leading and delegating the systems, the automations, and the people that you've hired to help you. So the biggest shift at Sapling level is going from doer to manager. And this is a very big change. Most people don't realize how big of a change it's going to be. And most people don't want to make the change. If you've ever been promoted past what you're good at and you've gotten to a level and you're like, wait a second, I would rather be doing the thing than managing the people, this step is where that becomes very apparent. It's very important to remember that you can stop at whatever stage you want. You don't have to keep growing and growing and growing. Trees do not grow into the stratosphere. Scalability isn't really a thing. Like we grow and then we maintain more or less that size. So if you individually would prefer to be the owner operator and do the thing, you can maintain at Seedling level. You don't have to keep going. If you want to keep going, these are the next steps to get to the next level. And then you can maintain at that level, or you can maintain at Sentinel level, but you don't have to keep growing in order to have a legitimate business. I feel like private equity and online finance bros have made it sound like you have to grow, grow, grow. If you're not growing, you're dying. That's a lie, because when they say grow, they mean get bigger. And a tree does not keep getting bigger. It's going to keep being alive, as in it keeps growing new leaves and it keeps growing new branches, and some branches break off and then it gets replaced. But the tree does not keep growing exponentially into the stratosphere. So you do not have to keep growing exponentially into the stratosphere. You can decide what level you want to be at, and then you can maintain that level and know that you can then grow to the next one if you want to, but you don't have to. At Sapling level, you are experiencing anxiety over how much further you can expand, whether you really want or can handle a bigger business. You're going to have a lot of growth pains and conflicts from learning how to manage other people. Now you're going to have more freedom of time because it's not all up to you to do everything. And you're going to experience more brand authority in your niche, because now you have the reach and you've been around for 3 or 4 years. So people now recognize your brand. And you're going to have financial security in your business and personal life if you've set up the accounting system and the money systems at the beginning, which is what I recommend. So that way they grow with you as you go, and you don't have to rearrange everything once you get to this level. At Sapling level, you need a process for recruiting, hiring, and training any employees and contractors, so that way your business isn't reliant on any single person, including you. You need a system for automatically updating your SOPs so the team can be as autonomous as possible. You want to delegate the authority to them as much as you can. Then we're going to streamline. This is where you go into optimization of your products and services, streamlining as much as possible. Scalability at this point is going to start meeting that point of diminishing returns, but they're still returns. They're just not like ginormous ones anymore. And we're going to need a future-proof plan so you can keep working as long as you want, and or decide on an exit strategy so that way if you want to move on and no longer have anything to do with it, you are able to sell it if you want to. Level 5 is Sentinel, and this is $50,000 a month in gross revenue and above. You have a team managing the daily operations while you focus on the vision. You have a well-respected brand presence and authority in your niche. You have high revenue, lean expenses, and strong margins. And you have a personal focus on freedom, legacy, and fulfillment. Now at Sentinel level, you become the founder that is able to step back and like see the big picture. And at this point, you start having a whole new level of shiny object syndrome, because you might be wanting to start a new business, or you might want to take the current business in a bunch of different directions. And it's very easy for someone to get to Sentinel level and destroy everything that they've built, because all of a sudden they get antsy and they're like, I just want to change stuff to be changing stuff. And it's very important to make sure that you're not messing with stuff that doesn't need to be messed with. So you might be feeling frustration from being needed in the business, or you might be feeling frustration because you're not needed as much as you want to be, and you feel kind of redundant at this point. You might worry about handing over the responsibility to your team, whether they can handle it, whether they're going to do as good of a job as you can. You might be seeing opportunities to invest in other businesses as an angel investor from your own personal wealth that you've built, or you might be collaborating with smaller businesses and helping them grow as a niche as a whole. And you're probably going to experience quite a bit of fulfilling personal growth and feel like you started to master some of these life principles. Now, to maintain at Sentinel level, you need to keep the business relevant without reinventing the wheel. So you're going to make sure that your offers and services are still appropriate, but not completely redo what you do every time you get a new idea. You want to support and serve your industry and niche as a whole, and establish your authority in your industry so that way you can attract other high-level players to collaborate with. You, at this point, definitely need a standardized process for personal investment portfolio management. At this point, you might get a family office service or wealth advisor to help you manage the money that you've made from your business to you personally. And you need to empower your team to assess the viability and suitability of investment and business deals that you bring to them, so that way you're not the one making all the decisions all by yourself. You now have a team to kind of support you and provide some checks and balances. You want to shift your focus to portfolio and resource management and raising capital, and maintain that personal freedom and work-life balance. And then either you're going to plan to maintain this business at this level long term, consider what retirement options, what happens to it when you're ready to retire. Does it keep going? Do you sell it? Is it at the point where you could bring on your most trusted employee or contractor as a partner? And so then when you're ready, you can sell your shares to them, so to speak, like have them buy you out. Like, what is that exit going to look like, and what time frame do you see that happening in? People say that you have to have something that outlasts you in order for it to be a business. Otherwise, you're just making yourself a job. And I disagree. I think that making yourself a job is perfectly legitimate thing to do. And if you want to shut down your business when you're done working on it and you want to retire, like, that's okay. You don't have to sell it. But I feel like it's a shame to chop down a perfectly good tree if it's producing fruit. So consider whether you would want to pass it on, chop it down, whether you would want to sell it, and how you're going to do that. Whether that's going to be a dissolution of business, you're going to sell the book of business, sell your customers, pass them on to another practitioner. Depends on what kind of business you have, but usually selling a business is a good way to get out of it while also getting the equity out of it that you've put in over those years. So the goal is to thrive indefinitely. And in order to do that, you need a rhythm that enables you to maintain a balance of time across all areas of your portfolio and add value where is needed most. So a lot of people that are chronic entrepreneurs, they get to Sentinel level and they let their team take care of this business, and then they go start something new. Or they do angel investing. So like Tim Ferriss, he built a business doing drop shipping. He was very early on in the drop shipping game. So he had a business that was doing well, and then he started investing in startups and consulting for them. And Alex Hormozy is doing the same thing. He built Gym Launch. It was very successful. He sold it, got a lot of money as an exit, and then he uses that money to invest private equity into other businesses and consults them in improving their businesses. So that's the long-term wealth strategy. This business that you're starting right now is the first thing, and then you're going to take either the profits from this business and reinvest them into other people's businesses or starting something new yourself, or you're going to sell this business because now it's an asset, it's generating revenue on its own. You can sell it, take that lump sum, and then invest into real estate or stocks and bonds or startups. At that point, you're dealing with much bigger sums of money. And it's a very good idea to have wealth advisors and financial planners and other licensed people helping you appropriately use the resources that you have. But by the time you get to Sentinel level, you will have done so much personal growth that you'll have a much better idea of what is a good investment for you personally. You will be able to take the lead on that, but you do want to have other people keeping an eye on things and helping give you advice, because the last thing we want to do is spend all this time building a business to sell it and get, whatever multiple you get for selling it, and then make a bad investment and lose all of that. So I recommend caution at that stage. So the growth chart framework will help you understand and diagnose what level of business you're at right now, so that you know what strategies and advice to listen to for your stage of business. And then when you graduate to the next level, then you'll know at what point to change your approach. And I have a free quiz on my website that will diagnose what stage you're at and give you kind of a roadmap of where you are, where you're going, and the specific key strategies and tactics that you need for the level of business that you're at currently. So that is linked in the description. Go ahead and take that quiz, find out what level you're at, and I will see you next time.